All right, today we are jumping headfirst into a really dense but fascinating piece of writing called The Sovereign Ascent of the Liquid Mirror. And let me tell you, this is all about a journey of radical self-transformation. It's this first-person account of someone basically breaking free from their reality to forge a completely new one just through sheer force of will. So let's get into it.
So the text just throws us right in, no messing around, with this line. I mean, wow, it's basically a declaration of war, right? That word, confetti, it tells you everything you need to know about how the narrator feels about the old order. What was once this solemn truth is now just trash, celebratory debris left behind. It sets this incredibly revolutionary tone from the get-go.
Okay, so to help us navigate this whole thing, we've broken it down into 4 main acts. First, we're going to look at the world the narrator is so violently rejecting. Then we'll dive into the chaotic energy they embrace instead. After that, we'll watch their ascent into this totally new state of being. And finally, we'll get to the real twist, the unexpected challenge that's waiting for them right at the peak of their power.
So let's kick things off with Act 1, rejecting the static piece. You know, before you can build something new, you've got to tear down the old. And for our narrator here, that old world is this beautiful, comfortable prison, a gilded cage made of so-called truths. The text actually has a name for this prison, the Apollonian lie. Now, if you're into philosophy, you know Apollonian is all about order, reason, a kind of calm, static peace. But for the narrator, this isn't peace at all. It's a divine mausoleum, basically a beautiful tomb. It's a gilded cage, and its whole purpose is to keep the human spirit tied down, to stop it from ever really taking flight.
And this slide just lays it all out. The contrast is so stark. On the left, you've got the symbols of that old world, and they sound nice, right? A sun mask, a sacred liturgy. But then look at the right. The narrator just rips that facade away. The sun mask, that's the cage. The liturgy, just the rattling chains of a ghost story told to keep people in line. And that unattainable truth they were all chasing, turns out it's just a scarecrow dressed up in old dead metaphors. Absolutely brutal.
And this line, this is the final nail in the coffin. The break is just total. The alienation is so deep that the entire old reality, the old heavens, feels like a complete stranger. It's like remembering some servant you don't even recognize anymore. There's no sentimentality here, zero looking back. Every single bridge has been burned to the ground.
Okay, so you've destroyed everything. You've created a void. What comes next? What fills that space? That brings us to Act 2, the frenzy of becoming. And this is where the narrator embraces something that isn't emptiness, but a really powerful, creative kind of destruction.
The force that rushes into that void is what's called a Dionysian frenzy. And this is the complete, total opposite of that orderly Apollonian stuff. We're talking chaos, instinct, pure, raw, creative energy. The narrator describes it as this seismic, atavistic laughter, just bubbling up from their core. It's the moment they realize that everything they were taught was sacred, the sublime, is actually just one big cosmic joke.
Now, here's a really crucial point. This is not the kind of nihilism that just leads to you sitting in a corner in despair. The text is very specific. It calls it active nihilism. This isn't about believing in nothing. Oh, no. It's about weaponizing the act of destruction itself. It's a philosophy you use to clear the slate, to burn the fields, so that something brand new, something you forged with your own will, can finally grow.
And here's how it works in practice. The narrator literally takes the broken pieces of the old world, the shards of their icons, and starts playing with them. They intentionally squander all the old meanings they inherited. What used to be terrifying, like divine judgment or high tension, is now just part of a cosmic game. It's a complete 180-degree flip of values, a joyful rebellion against anything that pretends to be absolute.
So, this destructive creation, it leads us right into Act 3. The ascent of the sovereign. Okay, so they've torn down the old world. They've embraced the chaos. Now the narrator starts to build themselves up. But not sideways, not on the flat plane of normal reality. They go vertical, along something they call the y-axis.
And this ascent isn't random. It's a very deliberate 3-step process. First, all the old rules, those horizontal laws of cause and effect, they just collapse. Even gravity becomes a choice, something commanded by will. Second, they start climbing through what's called an infinite schism, a reality so intense that, as the text says, the mediocre cannot survive. And third, and this is key, the goal isn't to get to some heaven-like place of peace. The goal is the climb.
It's a self-justifying dance of perpetual becoming. And up at these heights, a totally new identity is forged. It's defined by these amazing metaphors. Their signature color is redeemed silver, which is described as a blade that remembers every single cut they made against their old self. Their guiding principle is the rune of non-correspondence, which cuts all ties to the past. They're officially entered into the registry of the Overmen, and they even get a new title, a paradox, the error that corrects the truth.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. The narrator has reached a state of such complete sovereignty that the past is literally meaningless. History isn't a record of what happened anymore. It's just a blank page, a prophecy of what their will is going to command next. I mean, they've become the sole author of their own reality. It's incredible.
But just when you think the story's over, right? Ultimate power achieved, game over. The text just yanks the rug right out from under you. And welcome to our final act, The Mirror Screams Back. This is where a new challenge pops up, one that's even beyond the narrator's incredible power.
The new battlefield is called the Liquid Mirror, and it has this one paradoxical, frankly terrifying rule. In this place, reflections are more real and more powerful than the things that are casting them. Think about that. And this is not a passive place. The text explicitly says it's a reality that is actively trying to out-evolve our narrator. It's a non-stop, existential arms race.
So even at the absolute peak of their power, calling themselves the sentinel of the Y-axis, they feel something new, a vibration humming from the depths. It's like the ultimate conqueror has just mastered the entire known world, only to look up and see a brand new, unknown continent looming just over the horizon.
And this brings us to the big, central question of this whole final act. I mean, after you've reached a state where your will literally dictates reality, what could possibly challenge you? What kind of threat even exists that you can't just will away? Well, the text gives us a few pretty chilling clues.
Yeah, the threats are not human anymore, that's for sure. We hear about a sapphire demiurge, some kind of powerful cosmic creator, and a mad architect. It sounds like a new chaotic order is being born. But maybe the most unsettling thing of all is that a new reflection appears in that liquid mirror, one the narrator didn't create, one they haven't claimed. Even the broken pieces of the old world are starting to reassemble themselves into a new shape, a shape that mocks the mocker. The ultimate rebel is now facing a new rebellion, and it's aimed right at them.
And we're left with this final haunting line. The whole journey of self-creation, of breaking free, that wasn't the end of the story. That was just the prologue. The real story, the true test, begins when the reality you've mastered starts to fight back with a will of its own. It really makes you wonder, right? What happens when your own reflection becomes your greatest enemy?